Oops. Okay. So I think that's really great. And I definitely think you should be, yeah, circling it around and driving people to, you can say, come follow me on LinkedIn if you want, if you're gonna like mostly focus on LinkedIn or um, but whatever kind of cadence, publishing cadence you like, I think it doesn't have to be every single day of the week, but whatever you can be consistent with is great. You're like way ahead of the pack.
Do the maybe you're going to answer this, Charlie, but do the algorithms and LinkedIn reward you for posting at the same time every day consistently? Or
I don't give a crap what the algorithm wants
okay,
because I'm not dancing for that. Because we have all these other pieces that we're focusing on. And so I think if I was on some other network where it was important that I had some like went viral and then was like on the For You page, so people would find me and then they would engage with my content and like it and then follow me and then I would show up. Like if that was my strategy, then I would pay more attention to that. But I kind of like that I don't have to care about trends so much on LinkedIn because um, we're doing these other pieces that are the real things that are going to move the pin for your business, like the connection and the messaging strategies.
okay,
So in my mind, the connection strategy is doing what a post going viral would do on another network.
I see.
And then so that's part of what I'm going to talk about, how I want you to think about content a little bit differently, and hopefully that relieves some
Okay.
pressure if anyone feels that pressure. Um, yeah. So no matter what your industry is, basically we want you to be creating content, and this would go for every network that you're on, content that positions you as the expert. So a lot of times, especially on LinkedIn, people will hide behind their industry. So they might share links to articles. They might share, yeah, typically links to articles to say, oh, well, this is the industry I'm in, and I'm an expert, and I'm passionate about it. So I'm sharing information about it to educate you. And while it's definitely true that we want to educate our audience, that's a big part of what we're going to be talking about. We can't rely only on that kind of content because it's driving people off of the platform onto another place that you have no control over, and it doesn't do anything to position you as the expert. It's someone else wrote it. It's on another website. So although that's like something you can do, it's not something we only want to do because we want to make sure that it's you coming through. And we want to deliver value, but we also want to make sure that people get to know you. And the way to do that is to show some personality. That's what builds that know, like, and trust factor. So how do we do that? I mean, when I say show personality, I sometimes think people assume that means like, ah, it's showbiz, and you come out with like a top hat or something, which if that's your brand, then rock it. But really, I just mean like have some personality and have an opinion. So experts take a stance. If you want to be known as the go-to authority in your niche, you need to have an opinion. You need to have, doesn't have to be crusty or cranky, but you have to have an opinion. You have to have a stance. So if you take, for example, sharing a link to an article, which is what a lot of people will do, if you took that same piece of content and instead you talked about how you agreed with it or what you didn't agree with about it. If you talked about how you learned the lesson from that article and you shared that, how in your work you learned that, or what's missing. If you took a stance, if you had shared your opinion, then that would be a way of using that same content that would be also sharing your personality, would also be giving people a chance to know, like, and trust you. So you don't have to create every piece of content from scratch. You can leverage other pieces. But how can we like bring it back to you and your work at the same time without hiding behind um, just behind some industry article or behind like pictures of you having cocktails with your friends on the weekend? We need to find something in between. So when it comes to LinkedIn, this is good for my business that people have these myths about LinkedIn because they think that it's just so wholly different from other networks. In some ways it is, but in a lot of ways it's not. So really, a lot of times people think they have to create very serious, professional, buttoned up, peer reviewed pieces for LinkedIn, that they have to be, very professional tone, um, very professional headshots or pictures, or no pictures at all, no videos, nothing silly, no GIFs or GIFs. Um, and then last, that content is the most important piece of their marketing strategy. Most of the time, that is people's only marketing strategy. That's the entirety of their strategy. So really, I want you to leave with that. You can use the same content that you have produced on other platforms. You can bring your blogs over, you can bring videos over, you can go live. You can share all different kinds of content. You can reuse your content. There's no bonus points for, blood, sweat, and tears for each post. You can definitely be personal. You can roll up your sleeves. You don't have to have a tie. And most importantly, is that content is not the only part of your successful LinkedIn funnel or strategy. I think what happens is people are DIYing their marketing. And so they look at what other people that they admire or in their industry are doing, and all they can see is social media posts. And so that's the piece they take and run with, when really they're missing a lot more to it. So here is a client journey or a funnel. At the top is awareness. And then we're going to move your audience through a series of steps to come out at the bottom here as your client, ideally. So we are learning a whole bunch of different kinds of ways to use LinkedIn to run this entire funnel, to run your clients or your potential clients through all of these steps in a way that feels natural and organic, but not too much work for you, the most efficient way. But a lot of times people think that it's their social media post, like one post is supposed to do all of these things. So it puts a lot of pressure on your posts, which puts a lot of pressure on you if you're sitting down to create a piece of content. Whereas if we thought of it as just a piece of your funnel, that could relieve some pressure. And also knew from this work that we're doing with LinkedIn that there's other ways that we are going to be helping people along other than just relying on our content, which can be hit or miss, which, doesn't get shown to all of our connections. Right now I'm noticing that I'm seeing posts in LinkedIn from like 6 days or more ago that people are publishing. So all their St. Patrick's Day posts, I'm sure I'll see like on Easter or something. So if you had like this timely thing that you needed people to know about and you were just relying on your content, well, they might miss the deadline. But there's other ways we're going to be moving people along instead of just putting all this pressure on one post. So for example, when we send a connection request, like I was mentioning earlier, that's kind of like that tap on the shoulder. That's the first step we're taking with people. And then they can start to see our content and we can communicate with them through messaging. So then we're starting to build that interest. They can learn more about us from those two ways. And then through our content, through if we move them to an event like a webinar or through our messaging strategies, they can start to make a decision like, I want to sign up, I want to view your demo, I want to get on your calendar. And then when they take that action, then we're moving them into our sales process. So you can see there's all these parts to making that happen, whereas a lot of people put all the pressure on their posts and that's it. So does that help anybody feel a little bit better about what their content is supposed to do? It's just a piece of it. It's not the whole funnel. Basically, I just want you to be the star of your content. Even if you have a serious business, even if you are serious, I want you to be the star of the show. That's all I want for you. Okay, I sent everybody a workbook. Are you all able to pull it up? and we'll start going through it. So the bulk of what I want us to do today is some brainstorming, so that you have all of your ideas out of your brain, and then we can work with that. So one thing that I think, here, let me get to the workbook. So yeah, another thing that I think can help with creating content is understanding that sitting down, opening up LinkedIn or whatever platform, thinking of an idea, writing it out. As you're typing it, you're thinking it out, and then you're going to edit it up, zhuzh it up a little, and then hit publish, is doing like 3-4 different steps. So your brain is like really tapping into all different parts of it to do all of those steps. It's like driving a car, cooking dinner, and checking your email at the same time. So no wonder it doesn't feel creative, or it feels difficult, or it takes an hour. And then it's something that your brain is just not going to want to sit down and do again the next day, or for every day for the rest of your business. So today I want us to really focus on brainstorming some different chunks that we're going to put together. And I'm hoping, although I can't think of any kind of way other than doing it for you to get over to having it created, but I'm trying to remove as much friction from the beginning so that sitting down to do the writing part is as easy as possible. So I'm going to skip over for now the best practices. So this is a lot about like formatting your posts and stuff like that, but that's for after we come up with some ideas. And specifically for this brainstorming session, and definitely when you're writing it later for your homework, or working on it later, I don't want you to judge it. I just want you to get some things out. We're going to put out some crappy posts if that's what we have to do, so that we can start to get some data, some things that we can work with, and some things that we can improve. So just stick with me here. Don't worry, not a lot of people are going to see our stuff when we first start publishing. So, and they won't see it for a month. So by then you're going to be like a pro at creating content. So, okay. So first I want to talk about your, like, I think I have 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, space for 5. You could do less, you can do more, but these are your content pillars. So these are unique, they'll be unique for your business, but we want to make sure that we're always creating content that's really relevant to your niche. So we want to speak to the exact person that you want to do business with, and then we want to move them toward hiring you or having a talk with you at the very least. And because now we know one post isn't going to do all that, we have to be able to hit them at different parts of the customer journey. Are they ready, or are they even aware that they have a problem? Are they aware how you help them? All these different things we want to take into consideration. So over time, all our posts are creating this story, and giving them information instead of trying to jam pack each post with all the info they could need. So what I want us to do is spend 5 to 10 minutes. You can let me know, maybe I'll check in after 5 minutes, to brainstorm what your content pillars are. So I'll give you examples of mine. So if you were, say, one way that helps me think about it is if I was going to have a course like this, for example, what would be my main content pillars that would align with what I do for my clients? So what would be like the main topics that I would cover? So for us, say that would be niching, by your profile, content, connection and messaging strategies, funnel. So those are like my big overarching themes. So I say aim for at least 3 to 5. 3 if you think you want to do ooh, I feel like I'm a health coach. I mean, like, do you want to go to the gym 3 times a week or 5 times a week? I won't get ahead of myself, but 3 to 5 of these core like modules that you would have that you need to teach someone how you do what you do. Am I being clear at all? I teach people to communicate. Okay, I'm setting the clock. 5 minutes and I'll check in. This doesn't have to be perfect, and this is something that you can and probably definitely will change. But we want this to get us moving and get the creative juices flowing when it comes time to creating some prompts.
I think I'm probably overthinking it, Carly.
How many do you have? What do you have?
Well, I wrote down 5, but I don't know that.
What are
I'm
they?
sure that I'm expressing it in a way that I'm teaching someone how to do my work effectively.
Okay, what do you have?
Well, I separated into 5 streams of business, I guess, because
Okay.
it's, yeah, so depending on who the target is, if that makes sense. So like temporary
Mm-hmm.
migration, so that could be students or workers.
Okay.
Permanent migration, which could be federal or provincial.
Mm-hmm.
Special programs, such as we have the AIP here.
Mm-hmm.
Family and spousal, so parents and grandparents and spousal sponsorship, that kind of thing. And then business side is LMIAs. So, so
I
if
think
I
that's great.
okay.
Go on. I think that's great though. Go on.
So then if I talked about each one of those, like just a little blurb or something on a regular basis, am I thinking this through correctly?
Yeah, we're going to go deeper with that, but essentially, yes. So I think that those are all, that's perfect. That's exactly right.
Okay.
You perfectly thought about it. You didn't overthink it.
Okay.
How's everybody else doing? Do you need a few more minutes?
I've got mine.
What do you have?
I have big buckets and I've got purpose, which can cover authenticity and personality stuff. I've got people, which is about audience. I've got positioning, which is about brand strategy and gaps. I've got preservation of self, so self-care, and then possibilities, so the impact that people can have and like success stories.
Okay. Yeah, that's excellent. Brilliant. What about you, Robert and Mo?
I've got four. First one is awareness of the issue and the fact that a lot of people don't realize there's an issue.
Mm-hmm.
Second is about the process itself, the implementation of the process using leading practices. The third is about engaging people deeply and building consensus during the process. And the last one is collaboration among governments on common issues.
Perfect. That's great. Marine.
Educating people on AI and ChatGPT
Okay.
and websites.
Mm-hmm.
That's a mainstay of my business
Yeah,
and
that's great.
website makeovers. So some of my content is sharing, testimonials and that kind of thing to build trust.
Yeah.
And then I guess those are the two big ones, is educating people and then the testimonials and building trust.
Well, the testimonials will be more like a prompt that will come up with after. So
Okay.
let's think of some more blocks, like buckets.
Buckets.
Okay. So, well, AI,
Yeah.
Marketing.
Well, marketing in general. Yeah.
Yeah. AI, marketing, websites.
Yep.
Also, you talk a lot about community, you talk a lot about like, do you want to still target people in the arts?
Not really. No, I'm just trying to broaden my market from PEI to outside of PEI.
Okay.
But at the same time, I mean, it's yeah, PEI is kind of who I've been working with for 17 years. So
okay, but so what kind of people, like small business,
yeah, small businesses.
older demographic, right?
Yes,
Like maybe not so tech savvy.
yes.
So maybe something there, like about
Is that the educational part though, or?
well, we're gonna have education for hitting every bucket. So I think like one thing you could really speak to is, yes, the small business owner who's maybe like not very familiar with tech in general.
Yeah.
You could talk about that angle and about, bringing all these pieces to their business, how it helps their business, maybe.
You know what I think would be fun for Mo, for marketing would be like a then versus now, since you've been in this for so long. Like, remember when, like, have the sound of the dial-up internet versus now we complain
No.
about upload,
Yeah.
download. I think that
You know
would be
what's funny? Jamie, you know what I did? That is exactly that. Remember the speaker kit that you did for me in like 2007?
Yeah.
I pulled it up and did a then and now, because in the speaker kit, you came up with some really fun titles for the workshops I was doing for social media. And then so I turned it into a post of now and how that had what the differences were with then and now. So yeah.
It'd be cool to talk about what you did and how you would do it differently now with AI. That would be cool too.
Yeah, I think that just would be neat. It would speak to the depth, like your background. Like, it's like, tell us you've been in business for 25 years in marketing without telling us you've been doing marketing for 25 years. And I just think you'd have fun with that because
yeah. No, I actually did a whole post about that. And but yeah, I like that a lot. Thank you.
it'd be nostalgic for those of us.
Yeah. Do you remember when we used to rewind VHS videotapes? I saw a video.
Yeah, like nostalgia could almost be like its own
Bucket?
bucket for you. Yeah.
Okay, I get you.
And then I think since you have 27 years or whatever of experience, you know, being a business owner and being in marketing, you could really speak to that with your clients too, like just in general business ownership and that.
Thank you.
Okay, so AI marketing, websites, nostalgic business ownership.
What I have been
Play
doing
around.
some about being here in Panama and traveling and being able to work, you know, remotely and for creativity, like how important it is to kind of have new experiences and that kind of thing. So maybe, you know, the creativity component too.
Yeah.
Or freedom, because I know freedom's always been important to you too, Mo, like having the ability to kind of travel and, you know, all
Yeah.
the digital stuff that frees you up.
And really like freedom is something that can go into all those buckets, like how you can leverage AI to have more time freedom, and how you can run a business now from anywhere, and
I
you
see.
know how
Yeah.
you can update your website without waiting a month for your website guy to do it, that kind of stuff.
Thank you.
Okay. Let's move on now. So now we're going to be doing our content prompts. So I have, I think 5 categories here. So first one is mistakes. So in general, think here, okay, what kind of mistakes are my potential clients making when they try to do it themselves? So for me, for example, going back to talking about how people assume, you know, creating content is the entirety of an effective marketing plan, for example. And so what are they doing instead of implementing your method? You might be doing this. What are the consequences of doing it that way and making these mistakes? And so brainstorm those kinds of questions for each one of those 5 content buckets. And we're brainstorming. You don't have to write it out. Just write down enough so that you can go, when you go back to look at it, you'll remember. So what kind of mistakes are they making? So for, say, let's just use Mo's 5 that we just talked about for an example before you get going. So for AI, for content bucket for AI, what mistakes are they making? Not leveraging it, for example, would be like probably the biggest one. And then you could jot down a few ideas, sub ideas if you want for that. For marketing, well, they might not be marketing effectively for 2024. Does that make sense? How we're going to take those 5 buckets and try and find a mistake or a consequence of not doing it the right way or your way for each of these 5 content buckets. So I'm going to give you 10 minutes for this, and pipe up if you have any questions or you get stuck, or if you want to share a juicy one. How are you doing? Do you need more time? Was that too much time?
I'm good. I could go forever, but I'm good.
Okay. Did everybody else get an idea for each content bucket? At least one idea? Yeah? Okay. Geez, guys. Doing great. All right. Next is fears and blocks. So same idea. What kind of uh, fear does your potential client have about your topic? What are they afraid will happen if they do what you want them to do? Like, for example, a lot of times people are afraid that that if they niche down, um, that they'll hate their business, so they'll be bored and they're saying no to potential clients instead of thinking about what they're saying yes to, for example. So um, maybe what they're afraid of doing, what they're afraid might happen. Um, yeah, those kinds of things. And then one for each content bucket.
Carly, what did you mean about the last question? What are they afraid will happen if they get what they want from your work?
Yeah, so my example was often want people to niche down even more than they already are. Um, so sometimes people are afraid if they do that, service providers worry that they'll be like really bored in their business, or that they'll feel stuck. Um, so you can speak to like how I can speak to how that actually niching down actually can make them more creative and can give them more options for how they want to deliver and speak to people instead of limiting them. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah, thank you.
Or like what's blocking them from doing what you know is the thing that they need to do? What's blocking them from taking steps? You can think of those sections that we talked about in our profiles, our about section, with like, what are those 3 things that are keeping them up at night? Those kinds of things. All right, how's everybody doing? Did you come up with one for each bucket? Are you stuck? Do you want to chat it out? Anyone want to share theirs? Nope. All right, let's go on to the next one. How-tos. So now, spoiler alert, this is the one that people tend to rely on the most. But that's okay, because it's a really important one. We just want to make sure we pepper in some other ones. But this is sometimes the easiest one to talk about if you're somebody who really likes to give a lot of value before you go in for the kill with sales posts and so on. So how can you share some sort of how-to, some steps for each of these 5 or however many content buckets you have? Let me see here. So for me, I would say like how to create a juicy headline for LinkedIn. How to one that I keep resharing is how to share a carousel post on LinkedIn, because it's a little bit different. So it doesn't have to be like this giant win for them. It could just be a little bit of a step. How are we doing? Do you need a couple more minutes with that category? Anybody struggling or feeling overwhelmed? Checking in with your feelings. Okay, I'm going to carry on. Okay, so now let's move from the doom and gloom to the good stuff. So, you know, it's going to be hard to motivate people if it's all doom and gloom. So, what are we selling to them? What's the desired outcome? What's the pot of gold? What is on the other side of them taking these steps, even though they're afraid? So these can be tangible things, kind of like we talked about in your about section with your wins or your track record. This can be tangible, this can be intangible. It can be like time freedom, it can be you work from Panama, it can be you make an extra this amount of money, you could save 20 hours in meetings. So what are the possibilities that they can achieve when they do what you say? Finally listen to you. People are dropping like flies. Oh, it's like the heat's getting to them. Oh, everybody's back. Okay, got it. You just had your camera off. All right. All right. Thoughts, questions, concerns, or shall we move to the next one? All right, so this one is, I want you to find some commonalities besides your genius that they appreciate. Some other things that you have in common, like, um, uh, work experience, the industry they're in, business ownership, or caring about governance, caring about the planet, being a parent, being a high achiever. Yeah, brain dump as many of these different kinds of, values or experiences that you might have in common. Coffee, tea, boxers, briefs, get all out. All right. How did everybody do with the twinning and in general with all of them? If you had 5 content buckets, then you should have at least 25 content prompts. Anybody fall through the cracks and just look like you were writing and tricked me, or what? No, we're good. All right. So okay, next we're going to, you guys can listen. I don't want you to get caught up right now in like, am I going to do a carousel or a video? Am I going to add a meme? Any of that stuff. Right now, let's just skip over back to your folder, and there's a doc here with this method here. This is where we're going to put it all together and the rubber meets the road. Okay, so you have your first block here. So for me, it's LinkedIn. And then I'm going to have my brainstorm that I came up with. Okay, and you can go across to add to all of them. So this way you're hitting all of your contents and buckets and all of the prompts. So maybe we'll make that for homework because we don't have that too much time left, and you can copy and paste those in, and then you can use that to do your rough drafts. And so when you get that all in, another thing I want you to think about is calls to action. So each post, no matter what kind of style you do, needs to have a call to action. We don't want to always be, selling or always moving people to the same thing, but maybe you just want them to engage. Maybe you want them to weigh in below, something like that. So how can you add on? Each post will have a call to action, and when you get your grid all filled out here, then we should be able to take a look at it and be like, okay, where does it naturally make sense to make this something that is asking people to send me a message, or asking them to book a call, or asking them to click the link or sign up for a webinar, those kinds of things, so that we make sure that we are getting our sales asks out there too, or whatever your next step is going to be if you're not ready for sales yet, that kind of thing. Does that make sense? All right. So I have a couple of options, and I'd love for you to weigh in and let me know. You don't have to do that here if you would rather just let me know later. But I'm wondering what would be the most useful way for you personally to get content going. Would it be to fill out your grid and then grab each one and create a post from it? Would it be to have some more prompts for you, to like this kind of a prompt where you're told specifically, and then you can take the brainstorming you just did and have a more of a framework for it? Yeah, which do you think, if you're like true to yourself, which do you think would be the way that would get you posting faster?
I'll need a framework.
Pardon me?
I'd like to have a framework personally.
So something like this, that you can take what you've brainstormed and put it into? Yeah, okay. Because what I can do, if you can send me your grid when you fill it out, is I can make a content calendar for you.
I think that's amazing, Carly. Like the idea of a content calendar, because I'm going to do that anyway, but you can probably do it so much faster. Like you likely have the ability or a template or something. This is so valuable. I found this very valuable. So thank you for all of this.
That's awesome. I mean, I think coming up with 20, 25 ideas to flesh out in an hour is pretty awesome. If you post 3 times a week, then you're good for a while, even if you post Monday to Friday. So yeah, next comes the fleshing it out. And that's where the perfectionism is going to potentially really try to mess with you. So I'm thinking also, like, would it be helpful to have some sort of like crappy post challenge? Like, how can we get things out there without overthinking it, so we can build that muscle before our brain catches up and is like, hey, wait a minute, we should feel bad. I like to try to beat my brain. And since this is beta, y'all can tell me what you think would be the best way to help you get it all out there, and we can make it happen.
I think even just knowing that you're probably watching us and we'll have at least one person engaging, maybe we can be buddies with each other on on LinkedIn, and maybe
Yeah,
have a couple
could-
other people.
we could add a little hashtag, a sneaky hashtag that we can click on and see everybody's posts and give them some love.
Yeah. I have a quick question that may or may not, you might get into it later or not at all. I'm part of my overall marketing strategy is not just the commenting, but also, or not just posting, but also commenting and engagement.
Mm-hmm.
With LinkedIn, is that a good place to be doing engagement in the comments, or people that are posting on LinkedIn more likely to kind of disappear for a week and then come back? Is it still a strong strategy on LinkedIn?
I think it's a great strategy. If it came down to like, oh, I'm going to create content today, or I have time to comment, I would comment. I think because we're going to be spending time finding and connecting with people. So going in and commenting on their content with a genuine comment, everybody loves that, and they're going to get an email and a notification, so it's another tap on the shoulder. So it's very valuable. And also, if you're strapped, you don't know what to post, if it makes sense, share theirs and add your opinion. Like, there's so much you can do with it, but definitely it's a good strategy to work into your daily rounds, which we'll get into too. Like, what can you do to pop on to LinkedIn, get shit done, log off, and grow your business? And that would definitely be one of them.
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay, well, our time is almost up. You have a ton of content ideas now. And so your homework for Thursday is to get your grid filled out, and so that we can do some content calendars. And it would be awesome if you could come with one piece of content that you feel like you could be ready to publish. Go to town for however many, but one would be great. And you could do it right in the doc that's in your folder, just in the rough draft. And we can workshop it, and we can get into like the formatting and stuff on Thursday. If you come for office hours, or if you watch the recording, we can go over some of them. We can get into like how you want to share the content then. Yeah. So questions, thoughts, concerns. I'd love if everyone could share if they had a takeaway or anything that they wanted to, that stood out from doing this practice. Go for it.
I have a question about, is there a recording from Thursday? And if so, where would I find it?
Oh, did I not put that in there? Yes, there is. And I guess I didn't put them in.
And are we actually moving to Wednesday this week, or are we staying with Thursday?
Yes, did I say Thursday? We're Mondays and Wednesdays now for
Okay.
good. And I'll put the links to the playback. I put it on YouTube, but I must not have put it in your folders. So I'll do that. Folder link for. Anybody have a takeaway? Anybody have anything that a juicy piece of content that stands out that they want to start with? Anything at all? Tears, fear, sweat?
I would like to say that you're such a good teacher. Like
Oh.
you're a really good teacher. You're engaging and you have things laid out so well, and
Yeah.
you're really good at
The
this.
workbooks are very good, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, thanks, guys. Jeez. Can you leave me a recommendation on LinkedIn?
I can. But you have a presence like a classroom teacher. Like I feel that I feel like you're very good at this, and this is like your calling.
Oh my God, thank you. Tell all your friends. Anybody like have anything about, you don't all have to compliment me, but if you do want to, I think we're just waiting on Lori and Robert and just joking. Haha. Anybody feel like you're just joking and you really have nothing written down and you're feeling like the sweats about sitting down to create content?
I've been taking notes and not putting them in the workbook, which I should be doing. But I'll try to transfer some of them over.
Well, you don't have to put it in the workbook unless you want to, but
Okay.
but do put
Start.
it in that grid so I can
Okay,
see it all.
grid.
So and do your content calendar. And then yeah, at least one post rough drafted at least, so we have something to workshop together. And then you
Okay.
can just tag me in the comments here and we can work on it together. And on Thursday we can work on some more, or Wednesday, we can work on some more and we can talk about like formatting it and that fun stuff too.
Okay.
Okay, good job everybody. I thought I lost a couple of you, but when you went dark, but you came back and that's what counts. Little social media managers, good job. All right, I'm gonna let you go live your life now, knowing that you have all this content to make you into thought leaders. Yay.
Okay. Bye,
Thanks
Carly.
everybody.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.